Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. Today we've listed the top 10 dangerous prisons in the world. We're going to see them all right here. Let the fun begin. At the 10th spot we have La Santé Prison. It was located in Paris. Since its inception in 1867, it has been the site of several riots, executions, and escapes. According to prison doctor Véronique Vasseur, inmates often suffer from health issues due to several factors, including poorly ventilated cells and only being allowed to take showers twice a week. Living conditions were so terrible at La Santé that many prisoners have attempted to take their own lives. Given these circumstances, we truly find it hard to believe that a prison would include the French translation of the word health in its name. Coming in at number 9, we have Bang Kwang Central Prison. It was located just north of Bangkok, Thailand. Opened in 1933, Bang Kwang houses Thailand's execution chamber and is notorious for its high-risk and dangerous criminals. Historically, prisoners were typically forced to have shackles welded to their legs to prevent escape, though these regulations were changed in 2013. Still, the overcrowded inmates are all squeezed into small cells, and torture is reportedly commonplace. Past inmates have told stories of guards beating mentally ill, elderly, and pregnant prisoners, and malnourished inmates attacking each other over anything of value. As for the meals, well, the term maggot-infested seems to come up a lot. At number 8, it's Diyarbakir Prison. This was located in the southeast of Turkey. Diyarbakir is one of the most inhumane prisons in the world, owing to rampant and systemic prisoner abuse. The prison is notorious for overcrowding, and prisoners are often subjected to various forms of torture, including sleep deprivation, physical beatings, and even a dog that was trained to bite genitals. Mehdi Zana, the former mayor of Diyarbakir, who spent over a decade in the prison, revealed that new prisoners were thrown into a bathtub full of human waste, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Things were especially bad when Diyarbakir served as a military prison in the 1980s, with many killed by guards and dozens taking their own lives. Climbing up to the 7th position, we have Sabaneta Prison. Trust me, this prison was not like any other prisons because it was entirely run by the inmates themselves, complete with a hierarchy of gangs and leaders known as prans. One of the prans was Mocho Edwin, a man who had committed triple homicide in the late 2000s. Naturally, the prison was rife with violence. In 1994, inmates intentionally started a fire and killed those who tried to escape, reportedly resulting in over 150 deaths. This prison was located in Maracaibo, Venezuela. It was an extremely violent prison that operated from 1958 to 2013. Built to house just 700 prisoners, Sabaneta was home to 3,700 by the time it closed in the early 2010s. In this prison, you will get anything from Coca-Cola to cocaine, and also the inmates' wives, girlfriends, and children will come and go to see them. They celebrate together like a vacation or something. The other amazing thing was that the prison was full of thieves and other thugs, but if you put some of your belongings there, after some time, they will be right there and no one will take them. This prison is crazy, right? Taking the 6th spot is ADX Florence. This prison was located in the Fremont country of Colorado. ADX Florence is a supermax prison, one level higher than maximum security, and houses the absolute worst criminals in the country. These criminals are often extremely violent and typically pose a serious threat to prison staff, other inmates, or even national security. Florence houses just 359 prisoners, each of whom is kept in a small concrete cell for 23 hours a day. Mental health often deteriorates inside the cells, and at least 8 inmates have apparently committed suicide over the years. Some of the prison's most notable inmates include the 1993 World Trade Center bombers, numerous terrorists with links to Al-Qaeda, the Boston Marathon bomber, the Unabomber, Terry Nichols of the Oklahoma City bombing, and Mexican drug lord El Chapo. In 5th place, we find Carandiru Penitentiary. This prison was built in 1920 in Brazil's Carandiru. It was one of South America's largest prisons, which is housing more than 8,000 inmates. The prison was infamous for its poor quality of life, rampant health issues, and numerous human rights violations. The latter eventually culminated in the Carandiru massacre. The event began after a game of football, as a fight between two teams escalated into a chaotic prison riot. The military police were called in and proceeded to massacre the inmates, many of whom were unarmed and killed in defensive positions. By the end of the riot, 111 prisoners were dead, riddled with 515 bullets in total. Over 60 police officers were convicted for their crimes, but the trials have since been deemed null. At number 4, we have Muhanga Prison. It was formerly known as Gitarama Prison. Rwanda's Muhanga Prison was built to house just 400 prisoners, but ended up housing 7,000. As you can imagine, living conditions inside the prison are deplorable, and many prisoners suffer from gangrene owing to the filthy accommodations. Given that they are often forced to stand all day on wet and dirty ground, the health complications are many and severe. There have even been reports of cannibalism. Brigitte Troyon of the International Committee of the Red Cross has succinctly stated, "The conditions here are completely inhumane." Before we dive into the top 3, subscribe now, because honestly, you guys are watching my videos but hesitating to subscribe. And it was a big crime. If you don't subscribe to my channel, I will send you guys to one of these dangerous prisons. So subscribe and hit the bell icon. I think you got me, right? The third position goes to San Quentin State Prison. Serving as the oldest prison in California, San Quentin was opened in 1852 and remains one of the United States' most infamous penitentiaries. It's known as the most populous death row in the country, with the New York Times even deeming it the largest in the Western Hemisphere. Since 1893, over 400 people have been put to death at San Quentin. It's home to some of the most dangerous men in America, including Charles Manson, Richard Ramirez, and Richard Chase. The prison is also notable for being extremely old, outdated, and dirty, with prisoners receiving poor health care. In second place, we have Alcatraz. Although it closed all the way back in 1963, Alcatraz was notorious in its time and remains one of the most iconic prisons in the world, owing to its reputation and unique setting. Located on Alcatraz Island, just off San Francisco, the prison's remote and secluded location made it the perfect place to house high-risk and dangerous criminals. Life inside the prison was said to be hell, with many prisoners going insane and committing suicide owing to the relentless violence and poor living conditions. It eventually gained the nickname Hellcatraz owing to its reputation, and it housed some of the most notorious criminals of its day, including Al Capone, Mickey Cohen, Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, aka the Birdman of Alcatraz. Finally, at the top spot, it's Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay was located off the coast of Cuba. Guantanamo Bay was opened in 2002 under the direction of President Bush. Following the September 11th attacks, Bush initiated the War on Terror and opened Guantanamo Bay to serve as a military prison. The prison has received widespread criticism for indefinite detention without trial and the routine use of torture, including waterboarding and sexual abuse. There have also been reports of several suicides and numerous suicide attempts. Under the Obama administration, the number of inmates was reduced. However, Guantanamo Bay remains open. Amnesty International has called the prison a major human rights violation, describing it as the gulag of our times. Before we end the video, let's end it with a joke. If this joke made you laugh, you have to subscribe to my channel. For those who have already subscribed, thank you very much. Here we go. What do you call a fly with no wings? A walk. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and we'll catch you in the next video. Until then, bye!